Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. There's something about distance that breaks the heart in a slow, echoing way. It isn't always a physical separation. Sometimes it's emotional distance, when someone you love drifts away and you can feel them growing quieter, colder, less present. Other times, the distance is caused by life, circumstances, obligations, borders, time zones, or the unspeakable grief of death. But whatever form it takes, distance hurts. And yet, love finds a way to cross it. That's what today's episode is about. The kind of love that bridges the gap between people, generations, nations, and even between worlds. Worlds we cannot yet see. The kind of love that reaches beyond what is comfortable, convenient, or even reasonable. The kind of love that travels farther than anyone thinks possible, thread by thread, heartbeat by heartbeat, until it makes its way home. Let's begin. There's a moment that happens when you realize the thread between you and someone else has stretched. Maybe you moved away, maybe you fought, maybe life just got too loud, too fast, and you didn't even notice that the thread was thinning. But then one day, all at once, it hits you. You miss them. And the missing aches, not just because of what's lost, but because of what still lives in you. Memories, tenderness, a soft spot that they carved into your heart. Even when someone is far away, the love doesn't always go with them. In fact, it rarely does. It stays. It lingers. It lingers in the spaces that they used to fill. But here's what we forget. Even stretched as far as we can, the thread still exists. It can handle it. Love doesn't dissolve with distance. In fact, it often becomes more visible in its absence. Like the way light cuts through the darkness. Like the way a star shines more clearly against a black sky. Sometimes distance shows us just how strong the thread really is. One of the quietest forms of love is the one we never send. The text we write but delete. The letter we fold and hide in a drawer. The prayer we whisper in the dark, hoping that they feel it, even if they never hear it. These are the invisible threads, the kind that the world doesn't notice, but they matter. Because they mean that we still care. We still feel. We still carry them with us. You know, I've always believed that love in its purest form doesn't need to be received to exist. If it's real, it flows outward regardless. It seeks connection. It moves beyond ego, beyond need, beyond reaction. You don't have to be thanked to be loving. You don't have to be noticed to be kind. And you don't have to be close to still care deeply. And sometimes those unsent messages are just as real as the ones we share. Because love is not always about delivery. It's about intention. It's about presence. It's about still holding space for someone, even when they've stopped holding space for you. Let's zoom out just a moment. What if this kind of love isn't just for people we know? What if we practiced it with strangers? With refugees and orphans? With the lonely elder on the other side of the world? With a frightened protester in a country whose name we don't know how to pronounce? With a person we'll never meet who simply needs to feel that they are not alone? You've got that power. This too is the magic of love. It doesn't obey the rules of proximity. I believe every time you choose compassion, especially when no one is watching, you send out a ripple, a frequency, a thread. And that thread doesn't stop at your neighborhood or your nation. It crosses oceans. It wraps around the suffering and the forgotten. It lands softly on the shoulders of those who feel like no one sees them. Love, guys, love when wielded consciously is a borderless act. It reminds us there is no them. There is only us. Something that I go back to all the time in these lessons. We all have someone we're distant from. Someone we miss. Someone we misunderstood. Someone we used to love out loud, but now only love in silence. Today I want to ask you, what would it take to close that gap? Even by an inch. Maybe it's a message, maybe it's a memory. Maybe it's a memory you hold tenderly instead of bitterly. Maybe it's forgiveness of them or of yourself. Maybe it's simply choosing to feel love instead of resentment, even if nothing ever gets said. This is the whole point to this whole journey that I've been on. It's the act of reaching, even energetically. It starts to close the space between. Even if you never physically reconnect, your heart will. Because, guys, that's the power of love. It's not limited by the rules. It's not limited by the rules that the world tries to give it. It doesn't respect boundaries meant to divide us. It is always looking for the thread. And when it finds one, oh boy, it weaves. I'll end with a story. Perhaps one that you've lived too. You loved someone deeply once. Life happened. Distance formed. You lost contact. Maybe it hurt. Maybe it ended badly. But years passed. And one day, unexpectedly, they reached out. They were softer. They remembered something kind you did. They never forgot how you made them feel. And in that moment, the thread returned. Not as it was, but transformed, strengthened, purified. Love had traveled across time, across pride, across pain. And guess what, guys? It made its way back. Let that remind you that even when the thread is invisible, it's still there. Even when you feel far, you are not forgotten. Even when love seems lost, it may just be journeying, making its way home. The distance between us may feel wide, but the thread of love is longer still and connects us all. Let your love stretch today. Let it cross what the world says it can't. Let it reach those who are far until they feel close again. You don't have to wait for permission. Love always has the right of way. Listen, guys, I love you very, very much, and I hope you know that. What I need you to do now is go past that level, okay? Later, Gators. Bye-bye.